Okey-doke. So today we're gonna make a blueberry compote, and we're also gonna make pancakes. And so the reason I thought about a blueberry compote is I've had some blueberries in my freezer for a while, and they're not the most beautiful things anymore. But when you make a compote, you don't have to use the most beautiful fruit. You can just use what you have. So to start out for my compote, I'm gonna get a saucepan, and I'm gonna put, this is 2 cups of blueberries. I'm gonna put 1 of the cups into the saucepan to start our sauce. And I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of water. And 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And I just realized I did not measure my sugar. So let me grab some sugar. The best laid plans. 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And so I know lots of times in class we talk about that sugar's not really the greatest thing for you. And you're right, but this is just a sometimes food, not an everyday food. And compared to syrup, this actually has a lot less sugar. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my mixture and put it, oops, you can't see it because it's lit. But anyway, I'm gonna put it on the stove. It's gonna cook for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna throw the rest of the blueberries in there. Okie doke. So to make pancakes, you're gonna need dry ingredients and you're gonna get wet ingredients. And so this is called the muffin method. And so the recipe, by the way, for both of these is in your Google Classroom. This is called Light and Fluffy Pancakes. So we're gonna take 1 cup of flour, and you'll notice that I've got in my bowl a handheld strainer. I'm gonna use that to, I'm gonna turn my burner down a little bit more. We're going to use a handheld strainer to sift our dry ingredients together. Even if a recipe for a bread doesn't say to sift the ingredients, it's probably a good idea to do that so that you are not having any lumps in your pancakes. Because sometimes you end up with something you don't want. So I'm going to put the 1 cup of flour, and for me, I'm using gluten-free flour, but you could use whatever kind of flour works for you. And then we're also using 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And so salt is going to add a little bit of flavor. And salt is also, to measure the salt, you need to use 1/4 of a teaspoon and just fill it half of the way full. And then the recipe is kind of goofy because it also calls for 1/2 of a tablespoon of baking powder. And a lot of people don't have a 1/2 tablespoon measurement. So it's just 1 1/2 teaspoons. And baking powder is a leavening agent. In other words, it makes things rise. So I'm going to go ahead and sift my ingredients together. And I'll put my dirty dishes in the sink. And then the wet ingredients are going to go in a separate bowl. And my berries are really boiling up a storm here, so I'm going to give them a quick stir. So they're doing all sorts of sizzly stuff. Okie doke. I don't know why they were having such a party in the pan, but they were. Okie doke. So our wet ingredients. Our wet ingredients are 2 egg yolks. So I've already separated the egg yolks. If you're not sure how to do that and you want me to show you later at the end of the class, I can show you how to separate egg yolks. And we also have almond milk, and it's 3/4 of a cup. Actually, I think I'll beat those egg yolks just a tiny bit so that they don't stay lumpy. So we're just going to give those a quick beat. We're going to add our 3/4 of a cup of, I'm using almond milk. You could use regular milk. And also butter. We've got 1/4 of a cup of melted butter. And I melted it a moment ago, and I should say almost an hour ago now, and it's not melted anymore. So I'm just going to put it in the microwave for a second and give it another quick stir. Perfect. Okay, this liquid again. So our 1/4 of a cup of butter. And those of you guys who know me know I don't like single-use equipment that only has one purpose, but I absolutely love this little butter melter, which is so stupid because it has a lid on it. So my microwave doesn't get covered with butter, which, that makes me happy. Anyway, I'm going to stir together my wet ingredients. And then with the muffin method, this is called the muffin method, you take the wet ingredients and you put a hole in the center of them. So I'm just gonna make a little hole in the center of my dry ingredients. I'm gonna pour my wet ingredients in there and carefully stir. And I'm only stirring just a moment. I don't want all the lumps to be gone. If the mixture looks perfect, I've stirred too much and I've messed up my mixture. And so one of the things that happens is people want their mixtures and their batters to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's just not. The more you beat this, the tougher the flour will get. And so you don't want to do that. So I've just barely mixed it. It looks lumpy and disgusting, but you can't see a chunk of flour. So it's good. The next ingredient is beaten egg whites. And so I took the egg whites and I beat them separately until they were light and fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead and add those. They're not quite as fluffy as they were. And so I'm just gently stirring them in. And so that's why the pancakes are called light and fluffy, is that you have that extra beaten egg white. And so when you beat egg whites, you incorporate air, which makes the egg whites, makes them light and fluffy. Okie doke. So.
And Spence says that microwaving butter has always been the death of me.
Who said that?
Spence.
That is hilarious. Cover it with a paper towel. Or seriously, if you find one of those little butter melter things, I am not a specialty tool woman, but that one makes me happy. Totally happy. Okay, I'm going to heat up my frying pan for my pancakes. And so about medium, I'm going to put a pat of butter in the pan.
He says he explodes it every time, literally lava.
Yeah, you're doing it too long. And you might even put it on defrost instead, so it's going a little slower. I'm just going to put a little sliver of butter in my pan. It's maybe like a teaspoon of butter is all. And then I'm going to let that melt in my pan. And one of the things with the recipe is it says to gauge how thick your batter is and possibly add a little bit more milk. And so mine is pretty thick and gloppy. So I think I'll add a little bit more milk to it so it's not so thick. With some batters, it's really flexible, the amount of liquid. And so it should be thin enough to kind of drop off your spoon. This may even be a little bit thick, but we'll try it and see. So my pan's heating up. Got my frying pan, my butter's melted. I'm gonna get a measuring cup. Actually, maybe I'll use a measuring cup. We'll try 1/3 of a cup and see how that turns out for my batter. So just grab a scoop of batter, and I could probably put a couple of pancakes in the pan, but sometimes that's a little stressful because they grow together, they make it hard to flip. So I'm just gonna go with one. And while that is cooking, I'm referring back to my sauce, which is bubbly and delicious. And it's almost ready for me to add the last of the blueberries too. So I'm pretty excited. This is gonna be delicious. What questions do you guys have while our pancake is cooking? Does anybody know how to tell when your pancake is ready to be flipped?
Oh, suspense. What's happening with the bubbles?
What's happening with the bubbles?
Well, I was just going to ask him to expand.
Oh, I wonder if they're asking about these bubbles. Oh, for the pancake?
Yeah, he says bubbles popping out the top.
Oh, that's perfect. You know what? I'm really curious about this one because honestly, I've never made this one before. I had to use the ingredients I have, and I'm starting to see like one bubble that every so often kind of goes blop, blop. But otherwise, I'm not seeing a lot happen here. So, but I don't want it too hot either because then it's going to burn before and have raw inside. So I'm just going to let it do its thing for a minute or two. My sauce is absolutely bubbly and amazing, and it's been about 10 minutes-ish. So I'm going to go ahead and add the last of my blueberries. I'm guessing that they said to add the last of the blueberries at the end so that there's some berries that are more whole and perfect, and then some that are not. So just keep cooking my sauce. And I want to boil it a little bit because I need to get my sauce a little bit thinner. And so you can make sauce with just about any fruit that you have in your freezer. If you had blackberries, if you even had, even if you have fruit that's overripe on your counter, like in the summertime, peaches or plums, you can add a little bit of water, a little lemon juice, a little sugar, and just cook it on the stovetop. And especially for the fruit that doesn't look that great, but it's delicious, do that, because then, my butter's burning. So, my pancake. So this pancake is not dark on I hope I didn't burn it. That would be terrible. Let's flip it and see. Interesting. Well, you know what? It's gluten-free, so it looks different than regular pancakes. I just realized, but that's all good. So anyway, I'm going to continue to cook my pancake. The butter has darkened quite a bit on the edges, so when I get a chance, I'm going to wipe my pan with a dry, clean cloth to get the extra butter off, but I'll have to wait until that pancake is out of the pan. Anyway, the pancake should have bubbles all over the top typically when pancakes are done, and they get golden brown. This is not a great example because it's gluten-free, but you can see what happens with gluten-free pancakes anyway. And so when there's bubbles all over the top and then it's starting to solidify just a tiny bit, that's when it's time to flip over your pancake. If you do it too soon, then it can get all floppy and be a big mess. If you wait, too long, I guess it's almost done and it will just look kind of strange, but whatever works for you. And so the last step is your pancake is going to go on a plate, and I like to eat, I don't know why, I always have these ideas about food that are stupid, but I think that pancakes taste better when there's a stack of them. Like even if there's just a couple, I like 2 pancakes to 3 pancakes so that there's a good ratio of pancake to topping or syrup. So I like to keep my pancake warm in between making pancakes. So what I do is, this one's golden brown now. So I'm going to put that on my plate. And then I'm just going to get a bowl and flip it upside down on top of there. And that will make it like steamy so that it will continue to stay warm while my other pancake is cooking. So I'm just going to get this pancake going. I'm going to see how the sauce is doing. The sauce is almost ready. It's bubbly and delicious. Have any of you guys made a fruit sauce before? Or your own homemade syrup? Homemade syrup is just thinner and it has more sugar and water. Like I looked up, I was going to do blueberry syrup, and then it called for 1.5 cups of sugar, and that seemed really ridiculous to have 1.5 cups of sugar. That's a lot of sugar.
That is a lot of sugar.
Especially since we talked in class about that sugar could be the devil. I don't know that it is, but it's not great for us. So if we can cut it in any way, that's certainly helpful.
So Spence says if you count the sauce for baklava as syrup, then yeah. So that is kind of a sauce.
You made baklava?
That's impressive.
Oh my gosh. I made it once. It was so much work, but so delicious. Oh my gosh. It's hard.
What's in that sauce, Spence? Is it honey and like brown sugar?
Okay, this second.
Pretty much. I think lemon juice too.
Nice. That sounds really delicious. Okay, our second pancake is almost ready. I just flipped it over, and our sauce is almost ready. So I think I'll get a spoon, and we'll get ready to serve our breakfast. And I was going to make whipped cream. I don't have any whipped cream at home. But one thing you can do if you have coconut milk, I was going to show you that. Coconut milk you can make whipped cream out of. Well, fake whipped cream if no one's allergic to it, When you refrigerate coconut milk, the top of all the fat goes to the top and it solidifies. You can put that in a mixing bowl with a mixer, or I put it in my little mini food processor, and I just blend it with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla, and it makes an amazing whipped topping. So that's also an option. Sometimes during COVID times, you can't get to the grocery store. So mine's sitting in there for later in case we decide we want whipped coconut milk. Okay, second pancake's ready. How can I tell? It's golden brown on the other side. And yeah, and just take off the little pieces that don't look good. Set my pan aside. And we've got our sauce. Oh my gosh, it's kind of thick. I'm not sure if I think normally I might thin it out a little bit with a little bit more water. And so again, this kind of recipe is very flexible. If you want more water, to add something, you can. And so then you can just put a little bit of blueberry compote. Yep, it's kind of thick. It's a learning experience here. Anyway, you could put some blueberries on top of there and then a little bit of whipped topping, or if you don't have whipped topping again, you could also, you have other options. Like you could make, the stove's really hot. You could, what's that?
Oh, you could put yogurt on top. That would be good.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So you could put yogurt on top. So anyway, that's a quick and easy breakfast. And of course you could just use pancake mix if you have pancake mix. I just thought it'd be fun to make homemade pancakes, and yeah. So that's for that.